Hi everyone, so this is going to be the royal family in June. Let's see what we get in terms of the energies, reading on the energies today. I will be doing one, I've fluctuated whether to do one on the general elections, looking a little bit at tarot and astrology in terms of Rishi and Kier. I think that's how you pronounce his first name. So, I mean, definitely if you're interested in that, please leave a comment. The other thing is with the readings, likes, comments, even if it's just a random emoji, really do help the readings get in the algorithm. I mean, yesterday I uploaded a reading on Elijah Vu, 3-year-old. You might wish to check those two readings out. And when I was looking at the analytics, it was scheduled to premiere and it said posted 54 years ago. So, and if you've been following me for some time, you know that it's been a real struggle to get the videos in the algorithm, and it's no reflection on sort of my credibility or my level in terms of psychic, intuitive readings, energy channeling and stuff like that. So it really just would help. A lot of you are also, 80% are returning viewers, are not subscribed but returning. So you're not subscribed but you return to view what content is on the channel and view those videos. It would really help the channel because it's very small if you subscribed, if you're enjoying the content. I mean, you're returning to view it, so it really does help. But other than that, obviously, if you like, you can share, you can comment, you can engage. There's also a super thanks and the PayPal link in the donation in the description box, obviously, do help out. Now, while I was preparing for this read, I'm not going to read on, ooh, interesting, 3 of Swords. A lot of heartbreak and grief in the royal family at the moment, and I think it's about the energy that circulates it. If you've not seen my last couple, I've done Princess Charles' portrait, Catherine's portrait, but also tapping into a bit there. Do check them out, all right? Also check past readings because I think there's going to be a relevance here in this reading where I might say something that relates to a past reading where I've done a future prediction. So I really do feel in terms of the energy that, just before I say this, sorry, if you want any of my services, whether it's energy healing, energy clearing, readings, everything's in the more or less in the bio. You can check that out. You can also email me. There's always notes in the description box. So where was I? Sorry. Yeah, I just feel like Charles is really buying out time for William because while Princess Catherine is not feeling well, and I mentioned that in past readings, he's just biding the time until Catherine feels a bit better. And I do believe she's alive, so I don't buy into all that. There is depletion there, but she is being a warrior because she's got the 3 kids, obviously. And like I said, it is preventative cancer, but it's more than the abdominal or whatever they've stated. And it's very much a mental and emotional journey for her. So I can probably say if I did a reading for her every day, would get different niggles, and I can see that already in her energy. So if you're new and you're not seeing any video, I tap into energy, and I also do some, you know, kind of mind probing. I also do psychic channeling, and also then their tarot. And I mentioned in the last reading, you know, just imagine the impact on her. She's alive and people are saying she's dead, and she's actually trying to fight. Even though it's preventative, fight something that could be, it's just always like a flashing of a life disease. You know, when you think of it, your mind just goes directly to alive or unalive, you know. So, I mean, I don't think that is really helping her. And so even if we believe, or certain people believe, she's not present, but you do have love for her, rather than be frantic to check every reader. And it is the drama that's selling, even on YouTube, on podcasts, even for like other cases like Sebastian Rogers. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think, should I have done that sort of stuff, you know, it could have really helped the channel, but I just can't, unfortunately. I'm not that type of person. So I'm going to do Meghan and Harry separately. We'll look into that. But there's two things that Spirit actually brought to me that they wanted me to actually look at, which was interesting. One is, and I don't know why Spirit is bringing this to me now, because I always believe there's always kind of distractions occurring to navigate us from different stuff. So, for example, the thing with Diddy is very much all for what's happening, but you're not going to tell me he's the only one. He's not the only one, and a lot of people have known about it, but it seems like, and I mentioned last year, I was like, there's going to be a can of worms for Diddy. As soon as that can is open, it's just going to splurge out. And here we go. And that was a prediction last year that is coming up for him. But then everyone's tapped into this, and you've got children being burnt alive in Palestine and Gaza. And I do want to speak about children and the energies that we're going to be ramping up into. So I might do that in a separate read. I'm still on two minds on whether to do a global predictions read, because I want to put out content that you want, and so it also has the views, the likes, the comments, as opposed to not getting the attraction, and I dedicated time and energy to a reading. So it's always good to know, if you're a subscriber, what you do enjoy, and I can simply see that from likes, comments and engagements as well. So yeah, I think Charles is really biding time until sort of Catherine starts to get back on her feet. I do think that I've seen, I've seen thumbnails that Catherine has been out and about, and it's turned up several times in the past few days on my feed on YouTube. And just yesterday I decided to click on one. It was like a minute and a half, but it was all old pictures. So has she been seen out and about, or is this again clickbait, or has she been seen out and about but there's no pictures? So again, like mixed stuff, and how much of it is actually palace generated, or is it just people trying to get their clickbait and a piece of the pie? That is very much the energy at the moment around us. Everyone just having a piece of the pie at whatever expense it needs on a lot of media coverage, and it's not necessarily the most authentic energy to help everyone universally and collectively. So let's look at so two things that Spirit was bringing to me, and I might do them now so that I don't forget, is to ask about Princess Eugenie. And I think she's been more or less always seen to be in Harry and Meghan's camp, or she's always spoken to them. I think they've brought her up in a couple of, like, was it with Oprah or Netflix, whether she's brought up. So I wonder if she is seen as a trusted person within the royals or not. The other thing is, while I was getting ready for this, a Spirit just wanted me to ask also the question on, or suggested that I ask about in June, the relationship between Camilla and Charles. That does not mean that or anything about a divorce, but it seems like there might be some niggles or tension around something. But let's see, it might be a message to another thing I'm getting is to debunk any future sort of rumors that are going to come up. Okay, so let's see how the reading goes. So can I see the royal family as a collective? Remember, this does not include Meghan and Harry, but their energy might come in. I'm mainly going to focus, as I break down the individuals, King Charles, Queen Camilla. It still doesn't feel right to say Queen Camilla, but she's a queen. And again, I don't have necessarily any opinion. I don't feel her energy open. I don't feel it like a loving necessarily energy. She's not a person that her energy radiates through any sort of like, for example, a device. You can tell some people's energy just radiates through. She's someone who's quite closed off in her energy, and I think there's several reasons for that. And Prince William and Princess Catherine. Okay, so anyone else that Spirit is bringing to me, that Princess Anne might come up in this energy substantially in June. Okay, so let's see. The royal family, mainly the 4 members I've mentioned, and some of the extended, but not Meghan and Harry. Can you show me them in June, please? So we've got the 4 of Swords here. There might be some communication on someone taking some time out, or an update on someone's health. And this is a communication. This is a communication coming through to us around that. Like, there's someone that needs additional rest. This is too many cards. I'm going to put them back throughout June. So there might be a health update. It might be that you know, Prince William or someone else needs to step in at some more events. We've got then the, so very much like I said, communication is going to come through around that. We've got the 6 of Wands, and we've got the Death card. So really, there's going to be fractal energy in June for the royal family. Okay. I didn't want to say this, but I'm getting in this energy. Is her name Rose Hanbury? Now, I'm not saying there was any thing that happened. I'm not reading on that right now. I was going to read on their marriage a while back in terms of certain months I feel like could really indicate stuff. But here I'm getting Rose Hanbury. Has she been in the spotlight, or is there her name come up again, apart from being like, what do you call it? Apart from like past, not cheating, what's the word? It's not deception either. You know, kind of marital affairs, but there's a word for it. I don't know why it's gone from me. And I'm going to read on this Death card, but again, it's volatile fractal energy that I was already picking up on. This could also be the end to, you know, sort of Rose being brought forward in communication. I think she's actually tried to step forward. I don't know if she has ability to attend some events or reach out to William, but there's something there around that. Let's continue for now. Justice. Yes, so putting an end towards justice and lovers. So I definitely think that there's something around making sure that she is put more in the background. So I don't know if she's been coming forward, her name's been coming forward again, that she's attended events or been in communication or something. Really, there's a balance of choices that are going to be very important during this month. Look at the bottom of the deck, the Ace of Wands, to make sure new chapters and new sort of energy is brought forward that we see. Okay, so this is where I think her end to really, and there's something about red ribbon. I'm not sure if that's a metaphor. Red is going to be really important. So the grounded energy of the royal family, feeling rooted, is very important in June for the new to come in. All right, for the new energy to come in. which brings in life as well. That's interesting. Chariot, yes, to move forward, okay, to move forward in the right direction. Number 7 is important to them. The Moon and the 10 of Swords in reverse. So we will, you know, I was saying in the last reading of Princess Catherine, I said there would be something coming up, and we see here there might be something that comes up, but it's going to be hidden, all right? So there might be little niggles of it, but there is something that's going to be hidden from us, whether it's the total story or something in its totality is going to be hidden. And I do feel like it's the energy around the maybe significance of rest needed. I don't necessarily like some of these cards. They can be very heavy and they can indicate other stuff. But there's a losing of hope and giving up here, all right? And it's covered by fears, and it's covered by things of the unknown. The things of the unknown is what we're going to actually see. There could be stuff where also, if there's doctor's visitation, there could be like, okay, we need to dive into a little bit more here and why you're not feeling so well again. So maybe some tests. And this could be around King Charles, or it could be around Princess Catherine. If you look here, we don't have the significance of the royal family in the actual limelight. I do get that Prince William will need to cover quite a bit, and his energy is more here than like King Charles or Princess Catherine. So that's interesting, and I'm going to tap into his energy. There is definitely an end to a chapter. King of Wands and the World card here. I do think it's around Rose. I do think, I don't know, she's been in the media, but really it's about coming into more of a loving energy. And I think the seriousness of someone's health being back in the spotlight here is really significant. Yeah, really significant. The King of Wands in reverse is usually not a good energy, but there's an end to that. And I think this is also to do with like the online media trying to control that narrative. The King of Wands is very much, you know, it's a fire sign, but it's kind of like a bit of recklessness that needs to end. There can be a bit of a sort of forceful energy, and it's interesting. I'm feeling the call to my sacral chakra here, which is about the balance of actually taking action. I'm going to go into Prince William's energy because I do have something to say on that. The balance of taking action and overtaking action in not a very grounded way. I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge here with what we're seeing. But I mean, what I'll do in June is do a further reading to really tap into some of these energies. I don't want to go into too much detail into a couple of these cards, but you can see that there is a balance that comes in, which is really good to see. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, what am I looking for? The other deck, if I have it. Okay. Really sharp communication that needs to be straightforward and behind the scenes, behind this King of Wands who is had to end sort of this chapter, and realizing that to its fuller, becomes into a more compassionate, stabilized, emotionally grounded energy, as opposed to this energy which can be like overly action. Again, that ties in with the solar plexus, so a balance of emotions. Okay, so just before, so that I don't forget, let's go into asking about Princess Eugene. Okay, let's see what we get on that. So I feel like she might be being left out on some of the royal family stuff, and I think particularly around Princess Catherine, and I think this is more so from William's orders. I feel that quite significantly. So too many cards. Yeah, so no, they don't necessarily believe, so they don't necessarily see that she could be a fully trusted royal in terms of some of the inner details. Okay. So I think they believe that she could cause tower moments in terms of speaking too much, taking too much action, between sort of communication of Prince William and Prince Harry, between them both, all right, but still having sort of like this energy of being isolated and left out in the cold. There's something here where they find that it's interesting. What is her element? Because she's posing quite a lot of fire energy here. And there's been a tower moment for her within the royal family, which is also interesting. And that's leaving her feeling quite a bit of an outsider, okay? An outsider even towards Prince William and Prince Harry as brothers. So she's feeling that quite a bit, but she poses a strong energy, but there has been kind of like a rushing in that you're not going to be, you know, I think there's been some communication that you're not going to, you know, you're not going to have full insight, and that communication came in as a bit of a tower for her. It wasn't something she expected, but then there is sort of this ego around whoever communicated this to her as well. They kind of, there was a bit of ego within that communication towards her. And like I said, I think there might have been Prince William who's like, this is kind of enough. Yeah, so again, you know, you're not gonna be involved in understanding the vulnerability around elements of vulnerable areas within the royal family, like Princess Catherine's health. Okay, so that what I was getting is sort of true here. Let's look at King Charles's health. That's upwards. Queen of Cups, you know, it seems like Diana's, oh, the Temperance Angel. So Diana's overwatching, by the way. She's very much present. Look at Charles's energy, shall we? King Charles in June, please, Spirit. King Charles in June. So we have the Hierophant, where he's getting medical attention. There is a heavy burden sort of energy. He will feel quite depleted in June, and he's really not able to see a bit of light. There's going to be, he needs to balance himself out again. He needs to recharge himself. He's very much, if he acts, it's going to be from fear, a little bit of resentment, but he's not able to see clearly. There's clearly a very challenging decision that he is contemplating around the monarch in June, and this is heavy for him along with his current health situation. Show me more around King Charles, please. However, his third eye will open up and he will be able to make the right decision on what needs to happen. And it's all about divine timing. And that decision brings in sort of like a new chapter. Making that decision and having this sort of cleared third eye that brings in the answer for him really helps him feel a lot lighter within his heart, his solar plexus in particularly, and it enables to open his throat, which means expression of the decision. This could mean that he's also taken some time out to research what he's contemplating, and really look into what needs to happen, what needs to be done, and going back to sort of groundwork around it. Okay, let's get 2 more cards. I was only going to do a couple of cards for each. 1 more. Yeah, so it brings him more into balance. That decision that he then has the clarity on helps him move forward and have the energy within him. Can you see how I mentioned the solar plexus is going to be really important, as well as the root chakra for the royal family? And we can see that in so much fire energy as well. I can see it in the cards. It's interesting because I believe he's getting signs, and this could also be that, for example, he's not really sure why he's seeing a cat, or he's seeing cats, or metaphors around that. And these are actually signs to tell him that you have your decision, and that decision, once he comes to it, he will make the right decision, is really going to move things forward in the right direction. Okay, so that's really good. We can, and we also have the healing card here, so definitely having his healing journey while he has to have this challenging decision, which looks like he really does make the challenge, the right decision. For us, we might not see it the right decision at the beginning, but regardless, whatever this is, for now we keep it closed. He's going to make the right decision. Let's look at Queen Camilla. Queen Camilla. Now, in the past, in her readings, I've got that she can be very much so. Charles is going to be very much her focus, as it is at the moment, and also in terms of choices that he makes is very important. So Queen Camilla in June. What I was getting in the past is that she's tying a bit more into spirituality. If you see past readings, they're very much significant, the energy. Like whether it's reading of the stars, which is also tied in with astrology, or metaphors, or, you know, more into sat outside and connecting into the spiritual realm. I see that more for her when she feels she needs to ground herself again. Queen Camilla in June, please. And I've seen that in past readings as well. A bit nostalgic energy here for her. Looking upon the past, but looking upon it in terms of, here the caution is to look upon it in a positive way. Again, we've got the Four of Swords. So I wonder if she's going to be, if she's really concerned around the health matters within the royal family. But here she's actually needing to take some time out herself. Look, so the health matters of the significance. She's also worried about someone younger, so it could be Princess Catherine, but I feel like there's someone else. She's also, so the healing matters are really important that she's focused on. She will be probably taking some time out. I'm getting that there could be, she could be having like a cold or something, and she's also doing research. And with that research, she's also having a lot of compassion for the current situation, that, you know, the energies around the royal family, herself as well. Again, I feel like there's quite a bit of sort of focusing on what her creative arts or yeah, so there is somebody that she will be spending time with that is young, and I wonder if it's one of the grandchildren that really tempers her and brings her into balance and moderation again. It's interesting, this is the healing card, but can you remember I mentioned the star astrology, which I've read a few times come through for her. It's good that I see the Ace of Cups and these sort of moderation cards. Well, very much she's going to be spending time with grandchildren. It's very much the focus at this point in time, while people are taking a rest and also going through their healing energy. A lot of family time for her. The Knight of Cups, and it comes in reverse. This is where, you know, sort of compassion is being offered, but she's not really fully taking it on board, which is interesting. She seems to go in the direction of using her mind as soon as this comes up. So with the Knight of Cups and then the Queen of Swords, here there's something about missing the signs and protecting your heart. So that is going to be her challenge, where she does have compassion. At certain times she taps back into her mind, and she comes into a bit of like a sulking negative emotions, which then can block her own progress, which is maybe where she needs to be out and about. Again, her energy is very much like, she realizes, she's realized that in the beginning, at the coronation, for example, her energy was that she had imposter syndrome. She could not even contain that energy that was oozing out of her, even though she was trying to hide it. She's come into an energy where she realizes that as much as Princess Catherine is loved, there can be negativity out there. So trying to fit the shoes of Diana, even though she knows it will never happen, discreetly trying to do that. She knows there's no need to do that anymore because there's so much happening with the royal family. If there wasn't so much happening with the royal family, I can guarantee you there would be nitpicking on her, but that is actually eradicating that energy from the focus on her and every single move. And so she's able to come into more of her own energy, which we see here and which I've been seeing in her energy, which is, it's actually a good thing for her. But she also needs to make sure in June there's some signs that she might get, and not to miss those signs. Because in the past, trying to kind of fit into shoes and not necessarily always showing that she is, has also knocked her self-confidence. But now she's really stepped into that energy of, you know, being Queen Camilla, or her own energy of doing it. And it's all around the energy of the royal family that is actually helped her do that because the spotlight is not on her. Can you see? If the spotlight was on her, it would have held her. She would not have known how to be, how to act. Again, a lot of isolation, contemplation time that she's going to be having, which I was getting at the beginning, and it's finally coming up, where she's going to maybe sit outside. She's going to, you know, try to go into her own ways to ground her energy when her mind becomes active, when her mind questions her self-worth, where she feels helpless and held. And some of it is all in her mind, and she's then closed off. She's not in this compassionate energy. But spending time with her grandchildren, time away, is going to be helping balance that for her, rather than focusing on any media outlet. Okay, so now let's look at Prince William, shall we? Now, I know that Prince Harry and Meghan were... the other thing I wanted to mention with King Charles is it's very hard when something is your son or daughter to really strip them of something. So, for example, if you know that your daughter or son are taking drug and it's getting to a point of a really bad point, parents can find it very hard to call law authority or to hand them in or whatever if they know they've done something wrong. And this is not necessarily Harry, but he can see that he just struggles to strip Harry of like a title. It's hard as a father. I also think during June, and we've already started seeing that energy come up, the palettes will be kicking back more. You know, in 2020, 21, 22, 20, summer 23, their energy, even sort of the early days as well, they would just sit, they wouldn't say anything, but now they're kicking more they're kicking back more on the past, on anything that comes, more than the past, on anything that comes out of Montecito, even though they're still quite restricted. But Montecito is not going to be able to just blast out like they used to. They're going to think, but also the royal family can't just blast out. There needs to be, you know, the battles and communication needs to be really, again, I've mentioned this in previous readings, having that mentor, that real advisor is really needed for the royal family, because there's watching and watchers going on constantly, and whether it's us in social media or not us necessarily, all of us, but whatever it is, there's that constant eye. And so really, you know, when you deal with narcissistic energy, so look at King Charles, it's very hard for that, can really deplete you. We got the 10 of Wands along with your health, but he makes a clear decision in June that is the right decision. He's really had a challenging time making that decision, and so it's really hard also when you see you can't get through to your child, because you also understand, you can see the hurt within them for past things. So I think I'm just saying this because we need to kind of understand his side of it as well. If you can see beyond the actions of someone or the reason they take those actions. Let's look at Prince William. Prince William, please, Spirit. In June. Yeah, we've got the World card. You remember it was upright. 6 of Swords. The World card is a chapter not closing off fully. Feeling stuck, that he's stuck in a whirlwind and he's not able to move forward to calmer shores. That's what he feels at the moment. He's going to have the presence of the mother energy around him. So I dare say it might be Princess Diana, but the presence of mother energy. His focus is also on Catherine. There's his focus. His focus is on Catherine. You know, what is the timing around this? We don't really know. There is going to be some communication. He might also be planning some travel, okay? There might be something around that. But there is going to be some communication from or on Prince William, whether this is kind of attending events. And we've got the Six of Pentacles. Yeah, some duties around the monarch are going to be needed, but he's also in this phase of trying to heal himself, because with Prince William, what I feel is that he is a bit empty, like his soul and energy is not there. I don't mean he's not alive, he's alive, but he's not. Do you know when sometimes you go through life and you've had several chapters and you lose that fire, that passion, that ambition to do stuff? He's not there, he's not able to move forward, because he also feels a bit in limbo with around timing and stuff around Catherine. But he knows he has to keep going, even in this whirlwind of feeling like it's not moving forward, things are not moving forward in a peaceful direction. They will be, it says it here, but it's not quite showing. It's not quite showing. So it's a bit of a limbo energy, but he knows he needs to keep going. And that thought of having to keep going forward is actually causing him more anxiety and feeling tied than the actual thing of doing that event or going to do it. The weight of thinking about it and everything going around is causing more anxiety and weighing heavier on them than on him than the actual doing, if that makes sense. I also feel like there's an element of shame here, not necessarily because he did or didn't do something, but do you know when you feel your reputation is tarnished, especially let's say as a monarch? It really, now if you think if your reputation, whether you've got a rumor or gossip in the office, half the time if it's not true, it really impacts you, and you might not have done something, but there could be shame around it, and that could also drop in your confidence. And it's also like, if I'm attending these events and he's having so much anxiety on how he's going to be received, all right, because he does feel like his reputation has been tarnished. So he has extreme anxiety. At the moment it's okay, but I think if that doesn't come under control, it's going to really turn into extreme anxiety for any events or outings. He's just not going to be in the same place or in a stable, grounded way. He's going to be internally fighting. I think we saw that in one of the readings I did where he was rocking back and forth, and people were saying it was because he was so off his head. Again, I'm reminded in that reading, he was holding his solar plexus chakra, and I spoke about that, and it's interesting, this is all coming in this energy right now. And then with that energy of actually needing, see at the bottom of the deck is challenging decisions again, bringing into balance, is with him feeling that way, and in the midst of everything, and the midst of his thoughts and his concerns around obviously his father, but here is also Catherine, the healing of hoping things will heal and move forward in a peaceful way, that energy of wanting to, of actually the energy of the anxious energy I mentioned, and then he doesn't have Catherine beside him, you're just doing it alone, and you have your brother on the other side of the world with Meghan. That could be like, yeah, they're finally getting a bit of the drama because we've been in the spotlight. Like, he could be thinking so many things, and then Catherine's not by his side. It's just also triggering him. He's feeling a bit alone in that, you can say. And can you see here, we don't really have any support system coming up. Let's get more cards. Prince William, please. There's too many cards there, but we saw the Fool card. I don't know why Spirit is bringing back to me, I'm going to check, but I was going to ask if anyone knows Princess Eugene's date of birth. I'm getting that come through again. If you know in the readings, I've always said behind the scenes there's a Sagittarius, and we get it here. Now, there is something where, you know, there is going to be some form of good news around the home. Okay, so this could be around the kids, it could be around Catherine, some spot of energy there. There's something that they're going to be celebrating. I don't know if it's an event. I don't feel it's around Catherine. I feel like it's something that comes up tied to the home. Maybe it's an event, but it helps him feel more in a passion of ready to go get, ready to attend, feeling a bit better than some of the energy I've spoken about, having a better balanced. It's interesting, these cards, look at these cards that are here. We get that third eye that Prince Charles has. We have the Death card, and we've got the Five of Swords as well. In the mind around this, okay, very much in the mind around this. And then when Prince Charles takes his decisions and gets that downloads, there's new beginnings there, okay. Very significant. Some of the things that Charles is going to do in June, which decisions that might not necessarily start in June, are going to be impacting him as well. Prince William, please. Yeah. So a bit of a tower moment. A bit of a tower moment. And this, I feel, is going to be... Yeah. I feel this is going to be around this, not swimming to peaceful shores. It seems like here there could be some negative emotions, but I see here some good news around Catherine. I do actually see it around Catherine, and it's around her health. There's a sparkle of light around her health that brings in a better, not a negative tower, it brings in a bit more of a shift and a judgment perception for him, where he needs to really juggle his decisions, his timings, and everything he's doing in terms of his duty. And that includes communication that happens externally for the public, all right? And also very much having someone who is in the public, not in the public eye, but do you know how you have a media advisor on things that is happening that then can tell you, actually step back, be the wise one, we're just gonna, you know, hush, we're just gonna be out of the scene for a moment. And then when is the time to come forward with some communication? There's a dragonfly here, and it's interesting. The dragonfly can mean transformation and new beginnings, okay? It's a very much a good energy, actually. So I see that is good. There's this, I also feel like he's getting, as much as he feels quite alone, all right? And again, when Catherine's not with him, very much feeling alone. And I'm getting the word imposter syndrome. He's feeling like, but it's not imposter syndrome. There's something, it's more or less the mind that's impostering on the actual making things exaggerated. But he's going to have like sparkles of miracles and hope. Like, you know, animals are going to be important to him. He might find feathers that are significant. I'm not necessarily thinking that he is going to, but there's something about him to balance his mind, get out in nature. And it could mean that he travels, all right? Again, that difficult, challenging decisions that they have. So I do think there's going to be some things that come up again in June, something quite significant that we need to wait for. Right, let's look at Princess Catherine. I just want to check the time on the phone. Okay, so I think I've got about 10 minutes. Remember, if you're liking this, give it a like. You know, in past readings for Catherine, I got that she might travel to get blessings and sort of like a retreat. Can you remember I mentioned it in her past readings? Interesting. King of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, Knight of Wands. That same energy is here in Catherine's energy. The challenge here is actually being able to move forward. She's feeling the energy that there is sparks of showing positive change on the horizon that gives her the strength, the inner strength to move forward. But then there's a challenge here. Let's see the rest of the cards. Your Five of Wands in reverse is that internal, emotional, mental challenge, which I was mentioning at the beginning, to really move forward. Again, 5 and 5. Understanding the dynamic of change is really being hard for her, mentally and emotionally. And then there's the external conflict and social media and uprising that sometimes really challenges her to be able to move forward. I feel like she feels like there's a chapter of her fate that she's actually facing. 6 of Wands. She doesn't feel she's getting the right recognition from the public eye. She doesn't feel that things are moving in a successful manner always when she's in this sort of energy in her mind, okay? It kind of burns her passion that sometimes, that at the moment she, at some stage in June feels, but then she wavers back. Can you see all the fire? And again, I feel the solar plexus is really important. There is something that her and William will be sort of celebrating around the home. Inner strength, like I said, has that inner strength comes through. But then, you know, there's the challenges that she faces. 2 more cards. The inner strength of being that she's going to be the queen, being Princess Catherine, and having that passion again for it. So it seems, I mean, as we see these cards and these cards, it's very much that she really wants to get on the ball of stuff, but then there's a holding back for her. And what's interesting is that 6 of Wands, that kind of impacts her with the mind and the emotional and internal imbalancement. This is not seeing eye to eye. It's a bit of pessimism that then stagnates her moving forward. And also feelings of failure and self-doubts coming in. And I dare say that you would feel that in this sort of energy. Let's look at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, feeling alone, a little bit isolated, left out in the cold. But I also feel like with this is that she does want to be left alone. Split the deck with that. Yeah, she does want to be left alone when she's feeling very much out of balance, demotivated, and nothing can make her sort of feel that she's passing this energy of, you know, she's got 555 here. We've got the 5s very much. A change is needed, but there is that element of change, and then there's a pulling back. And we've got the Justice and the Hierophant. Again, the same cards. Her energy, again, very much, the Monarch has an impact. And Hierophant 5 is very big. So there's changes for her in June coming up. and there is a balance coming in, and there is a justice of balance coming in. This could be that the monarch start, you know, as opposed to her just taking actions alone or communication, sorry, I did this or that, the monarch actually puts boundaries up. And we saw that with boundaries that William's put against sort of like the likes of Princess Eugene. I don't know if she actually has said something, but I think this is good energy. I mean, when you're going through something like this, you can expect to have those days. Again, I go back to the fractile, sort of volatile energy that we're feeling. Now, if you, or that you would be feeling in her circumstances, but a balance is coming in, and that balance also comes in as King Charles makes certain decisions. There's clarity on future as well. So it's interesting what we're going to see, but grounding and her energy and her healing is really important. Like I said in the beginning, her being a mother is her feeling like she's that warrior, she's that King of Wands, she's that Knight of Wands, and there's a celebration that her and William will be having. You know, the Knight of Wands, the Four of Wands, but inner strength, she's continuing to need that inner strength. A divine feminine energy is very important during this time. Again, she could, I mean, there could be some thoughts of travel in the future horizon, in terms of like blessings and holistic sort of side of stuff. We'll watch how that comes through. It's definitely come through in Williams. It's come through for her in the past, where I said I won't be surprised. Okay, so this is what I have for you, everyone. If you like this, please do like, subscribe, and take care of yourselves. And if you want another one mid-June, let me know. Look out for the Meghan and Harry one. I've got no idea what's going to come up with that, but let's see. And also, if you're interested in the general elections reading I mentioned, leave an emoji. If you're one of my US subscribers, thank you. It's apparently now, most of my subscribers are from the US. Drop me an emoji, let me know that you've watched this as well, and whether you found it interesting. If you're from the UK, then I'd love for you to also drop me a note, as always. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.